have you back. Now, the Automobile Association is ramping up its call to government to review the fuel pricing structure. And the cost of petrol and diesel reached record levels just last year, while the price keeps increasing. And in better news for motorists, though, the Transport Department is considering extending the validity period of licenses to 10 years. But to talk more about these issues, we're joined now by the AS Layton Beard. Layton, always a pleasure having you. Good morning to you. So let's talk about it. Even though we understand the Transport Department is extending that driver's licensing system in South Africa, that period to 10 years, you are of the view that there will be several addendums, though, to this. What are they?
Well, first of all, the Department of Transport has indicated that they're researching the option to extend from 5 to 10 years, and that's something that the AA is very much in favour of. We're very happy that they are looking into extending the validity period of driving licenses from 5 to 10 years. It's a very pragmatic step. The AA and many other civil organisations have been calling on the government to do that for a number of years. So it's a very good step, and we believe that that research will show that extending that period from 5 to 10 years is the right step, and it's going to be good from an efficiency point of view as well. The only caveat to the extension, obviously, is the fact that every 5 years your eyes need to be tested. We think that that's going to be one of the things that can be implemented, and that those eye tests can be submitted electronically by registered optometrists to the system, and therefore the validity of that license will then be secured for another 5 years. So the extension to 10 years for us is a very good idea. We're very happy with that development. The government says it's busy researching it, so we'll wait and see what the outcome of that is.
Yeah. What does this shift then do for the drivers, or the driving license testing centres, do you think?
Yeah, I think it will certainly be beneficial to the driving license testing centres. Obviously, over a period, you're still going to have the same number of people that need to register their cars, but it will be spread out, obviously, over a period. What is needed at the driving license testing centres, though, is a wholesale revamp of those centres. We find too often that the equipment in those centres is outdated and old, that those systems are offline or simply not working at all. And these are the types of things we think need to be repaired and fixed. We've called for a long time and said, don't even repair it, just strip it out and replace it. We know that there are new centres that have been created in Midrand and Centurion, and that's obviously a good development. We would have liked to have seen that investment going to the existing DLTCs. But anything that at the end of the day is going to benefit consumers and make it easier for them to get the documents that they need is something that we are very happy about.
Right. Layton, what are some of your concerns regarding revenue collection during this time where we're seeing this 10-year extension?
I think in terms of revenue collection, I don't see that the DLTCs, the RTMC, or the Department of Transport is going to have too much of an issue. Obviously that will form part of their research. At the end of the day, there are people who carry on paying, to get these documentations, and that will still be a revenue stream for the RTMC and the DOT. That should not be the overriding factor. The overriding factor should be what is most efficient for the end user and what keeps them legal on the road. That for us is critical.
Right. And I know that, of course, you have, expectations from the budget speech. We also just put it up on our screen there, calls for review of fuel pricing models there. Take me through some of those expectations from Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana that you think are quite pertinent when we look at, levies, particularly fuel levy.
Yeah, I think there's two issues on the table for us here, Melo. The first is that we would not like to see the fuel levies increased at all. We're not calling for the levies to be scrapped. We just don't think they should be increased. Currently, the general fuel levy is pegged at R3.93 a litre, and the road accident fund is pegged at R2.18 a litre. Together, they comprise R6.11 of every litre of fuel. Traditionally, the Minister of Finance announces an increase to those levies in his February budget, and they get implemented in April. We are of the view that they should not be increased at all, even by inflation, which is what happens traditionally. It will have an impact on the poorest of the poor. We're seeing that fuel is reaching record highs again. We're paying R5 more for a litre of petrol, this month than we were at the same time last year. The same for illuminating paraffin, which is a huge, it's a fuel for heating, cooking and lighting, especially amongst the poorest in our communities. So that for us is a huge concern. So we don't want to see those levies increasing. We think it's going to add to the woes of the fuel price. In addition to not increasing the levies, the AA would also like the Minister to announce a review of the fuel price. And we would like to see each of the elements that comprise the fuel price to be interrogated for their appropriateness on that fuel price, whether they still need to be there, and to determine whether they are calculated correctly and are still appropriately calculated, and whether there's any wiggle room within those calculations and within those components that can mitigate against rising costs. Essentially, that's what we want to see happen.
All right, we'll leave it there. Layton Beard from the AA, thank you so much for your time this morning.